Hi everyone, my name is Michael, and for the last couple weeks I've been trying to find the optimal draft model for professional sports leagues. I think I found one, but I'm not going to tell you what it is quite yet. So, a good draft does two things. It ensures the competitive balance in the league by distributing talent, the best talent to the worst teams, and the worst talent to the best teams. It also discourages tanking, which is a team losing out in the season in order to get a better draft pick. Um, so the way I went about my research is initially I looked across the globe, and I found that drafting and draft models within professional sports leagues is uniquely American, with possibly the exception of Canada. Um, so what I did is I looked at the most popular three sports leagues here in the U.S: the NFL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball, and I looked at their draft models, and they do have very different draft models. Um, and I looked at the fantasy sports auction style draft model. Now I started with the Major League Baseball model, and it's confusing. It has a lot of small pieces, a lot of loopholes. It can't be taken apart, and the pieces can't be used separate of the whole. So I decided to not even look at that. The next model I looked at was the NBA's model, and they use a lottery style model in order to ensure that the bottom 14 teams of their league don't know what draft pick they're going to actually get. So these 14 teams are entered into a lottery, and the lottery decides what pick they'll have in the draft. So there's the uncertainty of being awarded a draft pick, and that discourages tanking. Now the NBA draft model is good, but I think it can be better, and I think there aren't enough components to both balance and ensure a competitive balance and discourage tanking. So I took that one and put it to the side. Now the NFL draft model is a traditional bottom-down draft model. It means that the worst teams and the best teams in the league get the best pick and the worst pick in the league. It's a bottom-down draft model, and that is a traditional. It's a very simple draft. It hasn't been changed since it was voted in, elected by the owners of the NFL in 1936, and that's from the Hall of Fame. I looked at the history, and they've gone and tried different things in their draft, and have always gone back to this bare bones system. It works well. There isn't any confusion. It's a solid model, but it doesn't discourage tanking. And that leads me to my last model, the auction model, that is by far the most popular style draft model in fantasy leagues. Now, fantasy sports might not sound like a good place to go get a draft model, but fantasy sports is where models can be vetted. They can be used, they can be imagined, used, tested out, and vetted. And that's why I took a look there. Now, the auction draft model doesn't have a lot of history. It's never been used by a league. It has only been imagined, created in the draft world, and it just caught fire. Now, there are a lot of small tweaks and changes that have been made to the auction style, but the basis of it is this. Each player is given money, the same money, and they use that money to buy players in an auction. And the highest players will go for the most money. The worst players will go for the least amount of money. Now, I say the worst players, but these are worst players in a top leagues. They're not really bad players. They're just not the top of the league. What I decided would be the optimal draft model is to combine the NFL's bottom down system with an auction system that has a difference in money awarded. And what that does is you have a basis of the NFL and that bottom down that ensures the competitive balance. But you have the auction system of discouraging tanking. And as you can change the amount that each team is awarded, with the worst team getting the least and the best team getting the most. All of a sudden, tanking does not is not as profitable to teams as it would have been. And using the auction system, you can change that very easily. How much each team, the amount that each team is awarded, very easily. And by doing so, you can tweak it and fine tune a model that is an optimal balance between the two. Um, I got a lot of this information from the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame website, from SB Nation for the NBA lottery, and ESPN. ESPN was a huge resource in everything that I did. They have a huge fantasy sports world. They have, of course, report on every sport. So it was very easy to get a lot of information from ESPN. I also went to Yahoo Sports, who also hosts a ton of fantasy sports leagues, and got a lot of information there. So I hope that one day a sports league will try out the auction system. I think that they'll find that it works really well. I would try it out, but unfortunately, I don't own a league, so I can't really do that. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Bye.